and the learning curve you've been on. This would be a fantastic occasion for you and the players to be on the European stage next season, and if that's denied to you, that's got to hurt.
Oh, it would hurt incredibly so. It would be absolutely devastating if that was the case, but again, I'm fairly confident. I'm a fairly positive person, and I've got to be positive until UEFA were maybe to say no, it's not going to happen. So I think we've got a strong case. From what I'm led to believe, there is these loopholes that teams like ourselves can qualify when you maybe don't meet the criteria in full, but there is that special dispensation. So I'd be gutted, but the players would be gutted. But again, it's one of these situations, and I've had a lot of them in my life. It's out with our control. We can only control 3 points on a Saturday or 3 points on a Wednesday night. So that's my main focus, is in picking points up. Listen, it'd be a nice problem to have come the end of the season if we're sitting 4th or 5th. So I would take that problem all day long at the end of the season, Kenny, if I'm honest. But we've got to give ourselves the chance to have that problem by picking points up on a Saturday.
Thanks, Davey.
Cheers, Kenny.
Well, it's something they're going to have to get resolved if indeed they are to make it through. And I mean, it would feel very, very hard on Livingston whether to finish in the requisite position to miss out. Let's hope that they are given some kind of leeway, some kind of dispensation. Got to finish there, of course, and right at the moment in 5th place, 4 points clear of St Johnstone, who are the other side who made it through to the top 6. As it stands in the top 6, of course, the champions, Rangers on 89 points, Celtic on 69, Aberdeen 56, Aberdeen 49. Big gap there as the Dons look to chase down 3rd place. Then it's Livingston on 44, St Johnstone on 40. As things stand, you'd have to fancy Hibs, wouldn't you, to claim that 3rd spot. They are away to Rangers in the first of the post-split fixtures. That's tomorrow afternoon, and there'll be coverage of that, of course, on Sunday Sports. And we have got a choice of listening coming up. That'll be coming up shortly. The options to listen into Celtic against Livingston or open all mics, but I'll give you details about that in just a moment or two. We'll be across the Premiership, across the Championship. 4 games this afternoon. Hearts just a whisker away from clinching the title after their 6-0 win against Alloa Athletic. And of course, action in Leagues 1 and 2 as well. Let's head across to Celtic Park, where it is Celtic against Livingston. Our match commentator will be Liam McLeod.
Thanks, Richard. Yeah, minute silence just before kick-off, as we're seeing across all the matches across this weekend following the death yesterday of the Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Philip.
Right, thank you to Liam McLeod, who is there at Celtic Park. This is Sports and Live on a Saturday afternoon, and it is a choice of listening for you. If you want to hear full live commentary from Celtic against Livingston, you get that on digital, 810 medium wave, and online. Open all mics will be on BBC Sounds, 92 to 95 FM, and online at bbc.co.uk/sportscotland.
The most comprehensive coverage of Scottish football.
Go! This is Sports Sound from BBC Radio Scotland.
Good afternoon, everyone listening on BBC Radio Scotland digital and 810 medium wave. We're also online, the website bbc.co.uk/sportscotland. It is Celtic against Livingston, the first match of the post-split fixtures here. This is Celtic's penultimate home league game of the season, as Livy look to try and put a bit of pressure on Aberdeen in 4th place, and they've managed to prevent Celtic from winning in the last 2 as the Lions kick off wearing all black today, going right to left, shooting west at Celtic Park towards the Johnstone stand. Celtic in their green and white hoops, as that's headed out there by Ayer to the returning Greg Taylor, who's back for the first time since the injury he sustained in what was Neil Lennon's last game in charge in Dingwall against Ross County. As Livy get up the pitch over on the far side, they've got a throw in which will be taken here by Nicky Devlin. It's a bitterly cold afternoon, unseasonably so. It feels like January even though it's heading towards mid-April. Slight breeze in the air, the pitch is looking great. It was watered beforehand, the sun trying to creep through the clouds above as the long throw-in comes into the Celtic box, and it's booted away there by Stephen Welsh. Up into the air where Jason Holt touches it back out to Devlin over on the far side, hooks it over his head down there towards Bartley, gets it back, goes down, has a look at the referee for a free kick. The referee today is Nick Walsh, and he signals goal kick only rather than a Livingston free kick as we tick into the second minute of the match here at Celtic Park. Celtic lining up with Bain in goal, 4 changes from the side that brushed aside Falkirk in the Cup last Saturday evening. Kenny, Welsh, Iyer and Taylor at the back, Brown and McGregor with Forrest, Turnbull and Elyounoussi, and Edouard comes in for Lee Griffiths up front. For Livingston, same team for the 4th successive match. Robbie McCrory in goal, Devlin, Fitzwater, Guthrie and Longridge at the back. It's Bartley and Holt with Sibbald, Pittman, James Forrest's brother Alan up against his older sibling today, and J. Emmanuel Thomas leading the line for the visitors as that comes back to McCrory wearing all grey. The Livingston keeper with a right-footed long clearance into the Celtic half. Underneath it is Kenny. His header drops onto the head of Longridge on this near side. That goes straight to John Joe Kenny, knocks it off Sibbald, and out of play for a throw-in for Celtic on this near side. Packie Bonner 2 minutes in, 0-0. Livingston, as Sibbald is already having to get a bit of treatment by the looks of things down below us. Livingston have caused Celtic problems not just this season, since they've been promoted. In fact, they've taken at least a point in 2 matches in each of the last 3 seasons, including this one, as they look to go 3 unbeaten against the former champions today.
Yeah, the last time, of course, they came here and they got that draw. Celtic were going through turmoil because they had a real change of a team because of what happened coming back from Dubai. But they were on the front foot that day, and they haven't disappointed. At the start of this game, they put the ball right in. They pushed Nicky Devlin up on the right-hand side and put the ball right in there, and they've almost, for the first couple of minutes, won a couple of throw-ins. Of course, they're very dangerous in long throw-ins into the box. Celtic had to deal with it, but they have been able to start in the front foot against the Celtic team today.
And they'll be confident of doing something. This is their 3rd visit to Celtic Park this season, the 4th all told in the league. Celtic won the first one 3-2 here in September. McGregor, Christian Ayeti scored. Holt had given Livingston the lead from the penalty spot. Serrano scored a spectacular consolation, as Packie was alluding to there. They met twice in the space of 4 days in January. Livy getting a 0-0 draw here before Emmanuel Thomas scored an equaliser at Ammonvale after Elyounoussi and Beaton had overturned Kieran Brown's opener for the League Cup runners-up. And they got another man down. Sibbald's got back to his feet. He's okay, yes, but Pittman's down over on that far side this time.
Yeah, it was a heavy tackle. You know, he lost control of the ball and ran away, and he's gone into the tackle and come out second best in it. And that's, I think, he's got a bang to his knee early in the game for 2 players to get it. Even watching Craig Sibbald, you know, trying to kind of stretch him off his thigh a little bit where he's got that knock and that. But that's what David Martindale didn't want, is two key players, you've got to say. I like Craig Sibbald. Also, he gets about his business well, but Pittman is a key player for them, absolutely key player.
He's been fabulous since they got their promotion. As David Martindale said, it was back-to-back promotions into the Championship, then into the Premiership via the playoffs against Partick Thistle almost 3 years ago now, and Pittman is still on the deck. It is bitterly cold this afternoon. It's about 5 or 6 degrees centigrade in Glasgow. I think it's chilly across much of the country, but it feels colder than that, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think maybe some of it got caught out today and not having the right clothing on, Liam, would you say? Just the winds blowing into the stand a little bit, and it's very, very cold. I've just wrapped my scarf around my knees to try to keep myself warm here, because it certainly is. But the players won't find it out in the pitch. I think that's the best place to be today, on the pitch, running around, keeping yourself going.
And Robbie McCrory was trying to do just that down below us. Kilmarnock have scored early against Ross County in that huge 6-pointer in the bottom 6. Chris Burke scored on 3 minutes. Kilmarnock 1, Ross County 0. I'll keep you up to date with the scores as they come in across Scotland And that is the first goal in the Premiership in the post-split fixtures as Livingston come forward with Emmanuel Thomas. He's at the edge of the Celtic box, just pinched off him there by Ayer. As Edwards passes loose, he's given it straight to Sybil. Now it's Emmanuel Thomas, runs into Welsh. His clearance is sliced out to that left-hand side where it comes to Greg Taylor. He's returning at a good time ahead of that Scottish Cup 4th round tie at Ibrox next Saturday, 4 o'clock kick-off. Big switch of play left to right for Kenny, who rolls it back to Brown, who, unless Celtic get through past Rangers next week and they are drawn at home in the quarter-finals, so they're at home in the quarters, Packy? I can't even remember. But
so Johnstone, I think it's away.
Here. Is it away? I'd have to just double-check that. But anyway, Scott Brown's penultimate league match as a Celtic player, as Taylor turns it up the line there to Elyounoussi and then runs into Fitzwater. Elyounoussi getting it back though and driving down that far side and winning the throw-in of Jason Holt. Celtic up the pitch actually for the first time in the game. There have been a couple of stoppages. 6 minutes in, Celtic 0, Livingston 0.
Did I say St Johnstone? I should have said St Johnstone or Clyde. To be fair to Clyde, to be honest.
I think Danny Lennon's probably busy today anyway. He's not heard you.
Yeah.
As Welsh plays it out to James Forrest on this near side, and he turns it back to Welsh inside his own half. James Forrest coming up against his brother Alan on this side of the pitch. I think they did come up against each other in the 0-0 draw. The 3-2 game earlier in the season, but Alan Forrest was a substitute that day. It's probably the first time they've started against each other at a senior level. And they look so similar as well.
I was going to say that. They're very, very similar. Even the way they move is very, very similar. Build is similar, height is similar, just a different strip.
Yep, here's Ayer towards the edge of the Livingston box. At Edouard, he couldn't control, breaks back to Turnbull, tried to feed it out to Kenny on the right. Alan Forrest was there, and Celtic have to start again from inside their own half here with Welsh out to McGregor and then to Greg Taylor midway inside the Livingston half, just trying to step away from Nicky Devlin, turning it back to McGregor, forward to Turnbull, and McGregor fires it back to the edge of the circle for Brown, and the switch of play out to this near side for John Joe Kenny. 7.5 goalless minutes in at Celtic Park.
Yeah, obviously, again, Forrest going on the inside, leaving that space. There's a good ball played over the top.
Right through to McCrory.
Yeah, going through. But I was just going to say that he'd gone on the inside, leaving it for John Joe Kenny. John Joe Kenny is a player that I've obviously watched a lot now since he's come here. He's not one that gets himself into real forward positions high up and even beyond the defence, the opposition defence. He can almost sits in his position and supports rather than going beyond, and kind of throwback maybe to the traditional type of fullback rather than the ones we've witnessed in the modern game where they're almost playing as wingers.
Celtic would be at home in the quarter-finals, incidentally, against St Johnstone or Clyde if they can get past Rangers next week. The Rangers are 100% domestically at home this season as Turnbull comes forward, and he's happy to accept the corner on the far side. He did have an opportunity to cross, didn't fancy that. It is Celtic's first corner of the afternoon, which will be taken in the sunshine over there on the far side by David Turnbull. In swinger with the right foot coming up. 8.5 on the clock, and up comes Christopher Ayer and up comes Stephen Welsh to join their teammates inside that penalty area. It's a short one though to Edouard. Back it comes to Turnbull to the edge of the box. It's James Forrest, tried to side foot it for goal. It's blocked though, and it pings out to Alan Forrest, who's now driving on the counter for Livingston. Up across the halfway now, midway inside the Celtic half. He's only got Marvin Bartley for company at the moment, as Alan Forrest shows too much of it to John Joe Kenny, and the on loan Everton fullback wins it back, finds Christopher Ayer as well. And Ayer on the turn, driving up towards the halfway line. Now it's Celtic on the counter, and this is promising for them. James Forrest in behind Longridge, rolling it to the left-hand side of the box. I think he's looking for Elyounoussi, but Turnbull got in the road, and this control was poor, and that gets Livingston out of jail. We've played 9.5, Celtic 0, Livy 0.
Yeah, end to end in the last couple of minutes. Both teams almost on the counter-attack. The initial one, it was a good corner actually worked by Celtic. It was straight off the training field. Here's a chance. It's a foul, but just go back to that point on the corner. They took it short. Edward went short for the corner, and then it was Forrest coming late from almost about 30 yards out when it was cut back to him. But when it was blocked, then they were almost 1v1 at the back, and then Livingston broke on the counter-attack, and I thought Sybil could have drove on. I don't know whether he's still struggling a little bit with injury, but they were almost Celtic had nobody in the middle of the pitch when. So there was chances on both ends to go and try to create something.
0-0 here. There have been more goals in the bottom six as Celtic do a bit of defending. Kenny brought to the ground by Alan Forrest. Free kick goes Celtic's way, and there's been an equaliser for Ross County at Rugby Park. Michael Gardine has scored it, one apiece. That cancels out the early Burke goals. The two veterans trading blows there. Burke, then Gardine. Kilmarnock 1, Ross County 1, and in what is a boost for those two teams, Dundee United have taken the lead at Hamilton. Mark McNulty got the goal on 6 minutes. So 1-0 United at New Douglas and 1-1 at Rugby Park. Goalless in the other 3 matches taking place in the Premiership, with Rangers Hibs to come tomorrow.
Interesting weekends coming up now, right to the end of the season. All cup finals.
Yeah, actually the next 2 weekends are Scottish Cup weekends, and the league games will be more focused towards the midweek, but you're absolutely spot on. There are some gargantuan clashes to take place, particularly in that bottom 6, as Kenny picks up on this near side. Of course, the top 2 sorted in the Premiership. Hibs look like finishing 3rd. There is one European space available as El Yunusi drives down that left-hand side. He's got support out there in Taylor. Instead he turns it infield central for James Forrest, who rolls it back to McGregor. Now with Forrest out to Taylor into the box Turnbull, but there's a flag up as James Forrest found the net. Actually, really good finish, which Robbie McCrory is relieved will not count because the flag was up on this near side, especially given the Livingston goalkeeper was beaten at his near post there. 12 minutes in, 0-0.
Yeah, listen, from Celtic's perspective, getting James Forrest back into the team, a quality player, an international player, a player with an end product also, I think is absolutely crucial for them. And he'll gradually get his fitness back every game he plays now, but I think he'll be a starter now in almost every game to the end of the season. And of course, European Championships coming up too for him.
Yeah, it's a big few weeks for James Forrest. They want to nudge his way back into Steve Clarke's squad, but you're right when you consider the Celtic players who made an impression under Brendan Rodgers, and Tom English was talking about it earlier, in that Sinclair and Dembele obviously came in. But when you think of Callum McGregor, Scott Brown, James Forrest, those 3 still at the club, still very much at the club, those were the ones who really kicked on. I know Stuart Armstrong did as well. He left obviously, but of those players, they really kicked on, didn't they? And James Forrest, no exception. No,
absolutely. And I think, we were just talking before the game about getting a manager in, and those players will be desperate to get a manager in again to almost motivate them, get them going, and I think they'll be around the club, and they can build the rest of whoever they bring in alongside of those are international players with quality, but they do need to motivate it.
Brown caught by Alan Forrest on the near side, and then Forrest as well to win a throw-in off Welsh. Was a little bit careless from the Celtic skipper.
Yeah, slack, and it allows again Livingston to go and get high up the pitch. I think it's probably a little bit too far out. It's about halfway between the corner flag and the halfway line to get it maybe a long throw in here, but certainly if Livingston gets good set pieces high up the pitch, then they become a real threat.
Sibbled out to Jackson Longridge, back in his second spell at the club. He's gone all the way back to Guthrie on this near side, and he turns it back to Robbie McCrory. It's a short ball from him to the big man from Birmingham, Jack Fitzwater. Long ball from him, right-footed, looking to try and get Longridge involved on this near side, but he's wavered with the pass, and it goes out for a Celtic throw-in.
Yeah, I think also Emmanuel Thomas out on this sort of almost left-hand side too, and that's the target really. He's the big guy, and that's a couple of wayward, one from the goalkeeper and one from Jack Fitzwater now, giving possession back to Celtic, kicking the ball out over the goal line, and it's no pressure on, just to clip it into that area and get support around Emmanuel Thomas.
Two teams in lukewarm form, I think it's fair to say. Just 2 wins in 5 for Celtic, and it's just 2 wins in 9 for Livingston against Hamilton and Wraith in the Cup last week. Celtic come forward, it's a little header by Longridge though, gets it back to Fitzwater. Long clearance from him, comes off Welsh. It's now with Iron, then the break of the ball favours Callum McGregor in the middle of the park. He finds Turnbull, now it's out wide left for Taylor. There are 4 or 5 in the middle here. His pass though, and his cross was poor, cut out by Marvin Bartley, and the Livingston skipper gets it clear out to the far side, but it's collected by Ayer, and he passes it along the grass back into his own half for Welsh, and it's a first time ball to Brown into the Livingston half for Turnbull. 0-0 at Celtic Park after 15 minutes, Packy.
Yeah, and listen, there's the game today, there's not a huge amount to play for, but there's a bit of sloppiness has crept in from both teams, giving the ball away. Even Greg Taylor getting into a really good position there, no pressure on him, and he just fails to deliver into a good ball into the box. Basic stuff.
Yeah, next weekend's bigger for these two, you would imagine. Livingston can finish 4th quite clearly. They're 5 points behind Aberdeen going into this one, and they will have big ambitions. I would have thought of usurping the Dons, who've only scored once in their last 10 league games, and Callum Hendry scored that one, and he can't feature against his parent club St Johnstone today, as Brown plays it short to Turnbull, out to Welsh on the near side, and he passes it back to Bain just outside his box. Short ball to his left for the big Norwegian Ayer, and square to Brown.
Yeah, and that's, again, I keep saying it at times, when you have a right centre back over on the left hand side, and when he could be opening out on his left foot, he ends up then coming back in, and fairly predictable for the opposition to force him back onto his right foot and keep the game compact.
McGregor in the centre circle, just rolling it to Ayer. He's driving towards the Livingston box, out to the left hand side of the area for Taylor, tries to roll it back across the 18-yard line. Bartley's in the way, and that is cleared out for a throw-in. The Lions, I want to make up for losing that League Cup final, and they got to that final. They'll believe they can get to another one.
Yeah, of course, and that was a huge disappointment for them, because they had worked so hard and they were going through such a fantastic period, and then suddenly they lose that, and then start losing it another couple of games, and then the confidence goes a little bit. But they bounced back a little bit in the last couple of weeks.
The unbeaten in their first 14 under Martindale, weren't they?
Oh, incredible run.
McGregor, short ball to Edouard, just left of the centre circle, out to Kenny. Forrest on the touchline, where he likes to be. Faced by Longridge, bobbles off Longridge, breaks back to James Forrest, finds Edouard with his back to goal on the 18-yard line. He was trying to lay it back to Turnbull, but Livingston able to clear their lines. Underneath it is Welsh, and now it's with Brown. Little short ball back to Stephen Welsh. Been a breakthrough season for the Celtic centre half.
Yeah, he hasn't let himself down, that's for sure.
More goals, Packy, more goals, and Mitchell Pinnock has scored for Kilmarnock. They're back in front against Ross County. I think goals were predicted in that one. Kilmarnock 2, Ross County 1. That went in on 16 minutes. Mitch Pinnock adding to the earlier Burt goal. Gardyne had County level for 11 minutes, but Killie have re-established their lead, and that would be a priceless 3 points for whoever's able to pick them up today, because that would move Kilmarnock 4 clear of Hamilton as it stands, with Accies losing to Dundee United with just 4 matches left after that.
It's amazing with Kilmarnock, they couldn't score goals, and now suddenly that's 8-10 goals in the last three games.
Well, 12 and 3 in 17 minutes.
Is it? Yeah.
It's just incredible. A sore one for County if they were to lose that one. Whoever loses that one, if there's to be a loser. Here comes Celtic. Edouard prodding it through to El Yanusi. Too much on it though, and it comes all the way through to Robbie McCrory. Almost 19 minutes played, and with the spectre of those games next week, and Celtic go to Rangers on Saturday in the 4th round of the Cup, Livingston go to Aberdeen on Sunday. Can these teams, perhaps, given there's not much riding on this match, I wouldn't go as far as to say it's a dead rubber, but is there that kind of risk that the players will play within themselves with such a huge game coming up for both next weekend?
Well, I don't think they can afford to play within themselves. You end up then, that's when you pick up silly injuries and so on.
Like subconsciously.
Yeah, possibly, Liam. But I think when you play with Celtic, I don't know about Livingston and what they're thinking, but I know, having been around Celtic Football Club for such a long time as a player, you cannot not allowed to get into that mode of thinking.
Well, here's Emmanuel Thomas for Livingston up towards the edge of the box. Pittman, though, it's a poor touch, just lost sight of it, and it comes right through to Taylor, who passes it back to his keeper. Bain back to Greg Taylor on the left, just zipping away from Pittman and rolling it forward to El Yanusi. And it's a long one for James Forrest to chase, but it'll go right through to McCrory, who has to come to the edge of his box and rather than try and escort the ball back into his area to pick it up, he just booted it away with the right foot.
Yeah, you can see that movement though from Forrest coming away and off the right hand side here, picking up a position and then making that sort of kind of almost penetrating run through the heart of Livingston's.
Low ball by Devlin. Emmanuel Thomas goes down in the box with a double challenge almost there. Ayer was one of them. Welsh, it's the two centre halves who came across, and Emmanuel Thomas, and their tackle takes it behind there for a Livingston corner. This is their first of the afternoon. We've played 20.5 minutes. Celtic 0, Livingston 0.
Yeah, Christopher Ayer down injured and going into that tackle slightly. I think he'd be okay. I think he's getting to his feet. Young Stephen Walsh had to come round and give him a little bit of cover. And J. Emmanuel Thomas, we've seen him score before against Celtic, and he's such a big guy and an awkward guy at times, but also can finish. So I thought Stephen Walsh did well.
Sibbald's corner, in swinger, in it comes Emmanuel Thomas. Might have got something onto that, comes across the 6-yard line, but Celtic able to clear through Ayer. And then into the Livingston half for Longridge, but they're going to have a stoppage in play because Odsonne Edouard appears to have gone down in the wake of that corner that was delivered by Sibbald. It will stay goalless after 21 minutes, but Livingston have competed well in this game.
Yeah, they have. I think for the first probably 5-6 minutes. Obviously there was a couple of injuries thrown into that, but they were on the front foot. They put Celtic onto the back foot and they couldn't get control of the game slightly. Normally we see Celtic starting off games and they have got plenty of the ball and the opposition is forced back, but it was the opposite actually at the start of this game, and then suddenly Celtic started to get a little bit more control and passing the ball around, as they do, as we know they can do, without creating anything so far. Absolutely nothing.
Spool through the score lines in the Premiership. Hamilton 0, Dundee United 1, Kilmarnock 2, Ross County 1, goalless between Motherwell and St Mirren, as it is here, as it is at McDermott between St Johnstone and Aberdeen. In the Championship, Ayr United 0, Dunfermline 1. That's the only goal in the second tier, scored by Declan McManus. And in League One, Cove Rangers are goalless with Dumbarton. Falkirk 1-0 up on Clyde. Forfar, East Fife, Montrose, Airdrie and Peterhead Partick Thistle all goalless. In League 2, Stirling Albion 1-0 up at Annan. Brechin are 1-0 down at home to Albion Rovers, with Cowdenbeath 1-0 up on Elgin at home. Queen's Park 1-0 up at Stenhousemuir, and Edinburgh City 1-0 up at Stranraer. As that comes back to McCrory, 0-0. The match back underway here. First match post-split for the Premiership sides towards the closing stages of the 2021 season, as Welsh knocks it out wide left for Taylor. And now it's back with Ayer under no pressure. About half of the Celtic pitch is bathing in sunshine. And the near side here in the shade as Taylor rolls it down left-hand side of the box there for Elyounoussi. It's a lovely chip ball. James Forrest can get there. Headed away by Longridge. And then Sibbald gets it back from Jason Holt. And it's a long ball by Sibbald up towards halfway. It's over the head of Emmanuel Thomas, and it comes all the way through to Scott Bain into the second quarter. We are here at Celtic Park with the scoreline at 0-0.
Yeah, it was better play from Celtic up the left-hand side, and obviously McGregor feeding Greg Taylor, and it was a good ball into the box all the way to the back post, but Longridge just had that little bit extra height on James Forrest coming in, and he made a good clearance, but better play, better cross.
Yeah, Jackson Longridge returning to Livingston after Kieran Brown went back down to his parent club. He was up from Cardiff City, but Longridge had been at Bradford, had a loan spell at Torquay during that time, having helped Livingston to promotion in 2018 before going to Dunfermline. He stayed in the Championship when the club came up. Now he's back getting Premiership football with the Lions. Top six side again as Pittman comes down the left-hand side. Nobody is in the box for him though. Support arriving, Alan Forrest, but he's passed it back to Emmanuel Thomas. Level with the edge of the D, and he's gone for the big switch out to Nicky Devlin on that right-hand side. He takes it down and passes it back to Holt. Holt has still got the option in Devlin out there. He's found Sibbald instead. First time to Devlin on the slide. He's got his cross in, headed away by Brown, and picked up by Elyounoussi, who finds James Forrest. Then he plays it back to Kenny on this near side. Celtic 0, Livingston 0.
Yeah, it was a good switch of play from the big man Emmanuel Thomas. He almost dug it out and got it over to Nicky Devlin, and he worked it with himself and Jason Holt, and he was desperate for another cross back into the back post. He just hand up for about a minute or so, but nothing came. They tried to play it down in the left hand side, and it didn't work.
Here comes Celtic. Callum McGregor couldn't quite get it back into his stride after the cut back from Taylor on the left. McGregor was in the box. It just escaped him though, as he was looking to unleash something on Robbie McCrory's goal. It will stay though 0-0.
Yeah, it was if he got it under control, Callum McGregor in that position there, it was only a touch and a finish, just was out of his reach. It was good play again, working it down that left hand side. Celtic seemed to be getting a lot of room out in that side.
Ayr United level against Dunfermline in the Championship, 1-1 at Somerset. Here's Stevie Welsh for Celtic, rolling it out to John Joe Kenny on the right, infield to Forrest, and it's James Forrest back out to Kenny, and then Kenny plays it back off Alan Forrest and out off Kenny. Last it goes for a Livingston throw-in on the near side. Much to do about nothing at the moment at Celtic Park, really, not too much in the way of opportunities. 26 minutes in, and dare I say, it's got an end of season feel about it, Packy Bonner.
Yeah, to a point. Yeah, there's no real chances. No, the goalkeeper hasn't had to make any saves, neither goalkeeper so far, with the game in now sort of almost 26 minutes in.
Celtic in possession. El Yunusi down the left for Greg Taylor, and El Yunusi's in the box. Edouard, James Forrest too. Instead Taylor goes back to McGregor in field to Turnbull, and now it's back with Callum McGregor back in the side, having sat out last week's Scottish Cup third round victory over Falkirk. Here as Kenny turns it back to Welsh, infield to McGregor, dancing away from Bartley and from Alan Forrest. Brilliant from Callum McGregor to the edge of the box, looking for space to shoot. He's managed to get away from Guthrie, rolls it to Edouard, couldn't quite get it to Taylor, who'd gone in the overlap inside the box though, and John Kennedy might be a little bit annoyed that Celtic weren't a bit more direct when it got to the situation inside the penalty area. They've not attempted a shot and goal there. It's almost like they're trying to pass it their way through.
Absolutely, and Callum McGregor, who did brilliantly initially. Here's Scott Brown on the charge.
Great run by Brown, but he runs into Guthrie and it pops out to Alan Forrest for Livingston, who are looking at hitting the counter.
Yeah, I was just going to say about Callum McGregor. He did so well initially, great feet getting away from the tackle. I thought he was going to pull the trigger, but he elected to pass it to Edward, and then he just picked the wrong pass from Taylor. Just looking at left hand side from Celtic's perspective, I'll wait a second until it's got it. But on that left hand side, it's Jason Holt has been given the almost task to go out and help Nicky Devlin with El Yunusi and Taylor on that side, and he's always playing quite a tight position in midfield, and there's lots of space for Greg Taylor to operate, and he's struggling to deal with him.
Here's Edouard, away from a couple of challenges, turns it out left hand side of the box for Taylor. His cross is deflected into the air and cleared by Fitzwater into the north stand for a Celtic throw-in on the far side, which is taken quickly by Taylor. Still no goals here as McGregor plays it back out to Taylor, level with 18-yard line in field to El Yunusi. Little reverse for Edouard, nice little intricate football. He's found Turnbull. Now James Forrest couldn't quite get it into the feet of Kenny, who's on the right hand side of the penalty area, and Craig Sibbald is able to clear. Celtic 0, Livingston 0. The other scorelines in the Premiership unchanged. Hamilton 0, Dundee United 1, Kilmarnock 2, Ross County 1 at Rugby Park, 0-0 at Celtic Park, at McDermott Park, at Fir Park.
Yeah, just one of the issues that Livingston have is that when they do win the ball deep in their own half, their pass forward is never hitting J. Emmanuel Thomas, or they're just kicking it away again and giving possession back to Celtic. They need to tidy up in that aspect of their game. Just take an extra pass, wait for the moment, and pick out the big guy, get into his feet, get into his body.
A real pattern in the game now though, and that is Celtic camped in Livingston territory as Welsh finds James Forrest in field to Turnbull, and then Edouard, he's found James Forrest, he's in the box, he shoots and scores! Brilliant goal from Celtic. Livingston and everyone back to defend it, but the now former champions managed to weave their way through, and James Forrest, having notched last week, is very much back in the equation, and it is timely for Celtic as well, as he squeezes it home with the left foot into the bottom right. Celtic 1, Livingston 0.
Yeah, I was just saying about Livingston, kicking the ball away, giving possession back to Celtic too often, and Celtic been able to dictate the game a little bit more. A lovely ball into Edward, and that penetrating run that I talked about from Forrest, and the ball's just a lovely little ball played over the top of the defence for Forrest to run onto. I think it might have. I think he tried to play with his left foot around the goalkeeper's right hand side, and I think it may have just taken a little deflection to beat the goalkeeper down on his left side, but it was a fairly easy finish at the end up, but it was the build-up play was beautiful from Celtic.
Yeah, best bit of football in the match, and it comes from Celtic, and it has brought them the lead in this first post-split fixture. James Forrest scoring his 4th goal of the season, having got his 3rd against Falkirk last week.
But that's him just back in the team, and now he's contributed, to goals. He's got that end product, he's such a handful, and he picks up great positions.
Brown forward to Turnbull inside the Livingston half. Now he's got it into the feet of James Forrest again, faced by Bartley, and then with the right boot he tried to pass it back towards the centre circle, cut out by Sibbald. He finds Holt, and now it's with Alan Forrest. He's just watched his brother put his team behind, and then goes out off a Celtic boot for a Livingston throw-in to be taken by Holt on this near side. Balls it back to Longridge, and now it's with Guthrie.
Yeah, I'm just again, I go back to the point that I made about Livingston. They've worked quite hard. Just that ball from deep, they've got to have a. It's got to be a better pass. It's got to be a pass that they can get up the pitch and support the player on the ball. And they haven't done that. They've kicked it away, and then they're stuck back in their own half, and then Celtic just dictate the play, and that's really where the goal came from. I think it was Craig Sibbald that sort of almost just kicked it away out of play, and Celtic then picked up the possession and then built up from that and got their goal from it.
Yeah, it's been absolutely nothing in the game. The only note I've got written down really is that goal scored by James Forrest. An important header there by Longridge ahead of Edouard, got it back to his keeper, and McCrory thumps it forward into the Celtic half. But it's going to go out for a throw-in on this near side. We have to say, I'm talking about the finish from Forrest. He managed to squeeze it home, might have taken a nick off the defender, but it was a great ball by Edouard to find him, wasn't it?
It was, and a great awareness and vision. Just when the ball's played into him, he plays it over the top first time, over the top of the defence, and Forrest making that penetrating run right through and right into his path.
Short ball by Bain to McGregor, and then he goes back to his goalkeeper. Just wonder, we don't know who the new Celtic manager is going to be. I just wonder if Callum McGregor is the natural successor to Scott Brown as captain. He certainly has been the vice-captain for the last few seasons.
I was fine with a captain, though. Yes, of course, you need a captain like Scott Brown. He stands out as a captain.
Shoes to fill,
but you always need 2 or 3 captains in your team. The person who goes up and tosses the coin obviously is the one that's dedicated as the captain in title. But when you have 3 or 4 in your team and they're all capable of giving out information and dictating what's happening out in that pitch, that's what you're looking for.
So a new manager might come in and have his own ideas. He might bring his new captain
Absolutely.
In the summer window. We don't know, as Ayer plays it to Welsh. Kind of feel any kind of succession plans that were previously in place are all out the window now. Big changes at this club as John Joe Kenny finds James Forrest. Now Turnbull for Edouard, couldn't get it past Fitzwater. It breaks back to Turnbull, slides in. The referee wasn't happy with the challenge by Turnbull. He kind of overran it and then slid in to redeem the situation, but he's given away the free kick to Livingston at the edge of their own box. Almost 34 played. Celtic 1, Livingston 0.
Are you not allowed to tackle now? I know. No. It was a bad touch, but Longridge didn't even go down, and I thought he got a nick on the ball and almost set up the opportunity again for Forrest. But I think that's the rule now. No tackling in this modern game that we witness.
Wraith Rovers 1-0 up in Arbroath in the Championship. Danny Armstrong's before the half-hour mark. That one went in. Ayr are 1-1 with Dunfermline. Those are the only goals in the 4 Championship matches after Hearts' 6-0 win over Alloa yesterday. Of course, for them to win the league today, they need both Wraith Rovers and Dundee not to win. But the Fifers are 1-0 up against part-time Arbroath at Starks Park. So it will roll on potentially if it stays that way. Or if Dundee win, it will roll on to Tuesday. Raith Rovers go to Queen of the South. Maybe the next time Hearts could win the league as Turnbull in the centre circle plays it back to Welsh. Along the ground out to Kenny on the near side as we approach the final 10 minutes of the first half here, where it is Celtic leading Livingston by 1-0 in the Premiership. The scoreline's unchanged elsewhere in the top flight, with Dundee United leading at Hamilton by 1-0, scored by McNulty. Kilmarnock 2-1 up at home to Ross County. Burke and Pinnock either side of a Gardyne counter for the Staggies as Brown turns it out to James Forrest. He's in space, wide right the Livingston box, great ball in. The header from El Yunusi goes wide, well wide, with Edouard in behind, and you kind of suspect that Edouard, given the trajectory of the cross from James Forrest, which was excellent, was probably favouring the Frenchman rather than the Norwegian, and it goes out for a goal kick to Livy, and it stays 1-0 Celtic.
Yeah, but it was really good play again, good link-up play. Brown breaking forward, releasing Forrest down here, and this time he elects to put in that early cross, bending away from the goalkeeper across the 6-yard box, and there was El Yunusi arriving. We've seen him do it on a number of occasions, and he's decent in the air, getting him coming in from that almost inside left position, and that's what you want, that type of player to arrive in the box late, get on the end of a cross, and it was a good pick out. Scored that header against Rangers, didn't he? Yep. What was that, 3-4 weeks ago now? Welsh finds Ayer. Well, he's capable of doing that. Yeah, they've been decisively beaten as far as the title's concerned, but last time Celtic were at Ibrox when it was 11 against 11, they were the better team, and they'll believe they have a chance as Edouard picks it up in the left hand side of the box. His cross comes off the defender, a sliding Devlin manages to get it away. So Edouard again, he's in the box, side foot ball across, Devlin gets it half away again, Edouard picks up the scraps, and then it breaks off El Yunusi and comes back into the arms of Robbie McCrory, and it will stay Celtic 1, Livingston 0 as we approach 37 minutes. Oh, it's a great opportunity initially for him when the ball's played over the top. He takes a bad touch. He just had to touch it into his path, and I thought then he was going to just volley it in the back, and the touch took him away from goal, and then he tried to square, and it came back to him in a couple of chances, and again it was a bad touch from Edward on the second phase of play. Scott Brown goes down, fouled by Pittman, and that will be a free kick to Celtic, which is taken quickly by Brown. And then out to Greg Taylor. Something that surprised me in the build-up to this when I was looking at it is that Celtic, if they win all their matches, they can get on to 84 points, which would be a higher tally than the 82 that saw them win the league in 17-18 under Brendan Rodgers. There you are. As El Yunusi crosses, Turnbull will just knock it home as it comes off his midriff into the empty net for Celtic's second goal. Again, it's brilliantly worked down the left-hand side there by the home team. The little chip ball, and Turnbull, all he had to do was just make sure it bounced off him and into the empty net, and it's Celtic 2, Livingston 0 as we get closer to half-time. Yeah, they're exploiting that left-hand side so easily, Celtic. Obviously, I did mention about the way the Livingston set up in the midfield with Jason Holt expected to go out and confront the likes of Edward. And this time it was El Yunusi that was breaking down into that space, and he plays the ball across. I don't know what happened to the goalkeeper. He kind of almost committed himself for it. I don't think it was his ball to take, and as soon as he committed himself, then he was out, and it was almost a free, just to kind of let him hit his knee and his body. Turnbull almost a couple of yards out just to knock the ball into the net. Nobody picking him up. So it was all too easy for Celtic, but they're not complaining. 2-0 up against Livingston. It's not like Livingston in the way that you talked about, the mentality of the team. It looks like Livingston haven't got that real mentality that they had when I watched them, witnessed them here before when they came to Celtic, where they were really up and at it. And today it's not, that mentality is not there. It's too easy for Celtic. David Turnbull has just scored his 8th Celtic goal, and it's his second against Livingston this season, because he scored for Motherwell against Livy right at the very start of the campaign, as Robbie McCrory dinks it forward now for Sybil. So 2-0 to Celtic, and Livingston have an uphill task if they're to take anything out of this game now, as that comes back to Robbie McCrory. 2-0 to Celtic, and a couple of goals in the space of, 8 minutes, and Celtic cruising now. absolutely cruising, in total control of the game now. That spark that Livingston had early in the game is gone from him. And again, down this left-hand side, and there's Greg Taylor, and Holt again having to go out and not capable. He's just round him again, and it's now cross in.
Headed away by Guthrie. He was only halfway with Alan Forrest and well to get it under control, and he rolls it out to Emmanuel Thomas on that right-hand side, moving up towards the halfway line, crossing into the Celtic half and passing it short to Sibbald. He goes back onto the halfway line there for Holt. Now to Guthrie. Low ball out to Longridge. First time back to John Guthrie. He's at walking pace here, the big Livingston centre back. Long ball forward, which comes off Devlin and Elyounoussi. It breaks favourably for the Lions, and it's with Sibbald. Sibbald testing Elyounoussi down that right-hand side. He got the low ball in, but straight to Callum McGregor, and McGregor able to clear. Little ball forward to Edouard, being put under pressure by Fitzwater midway inside his own half there, Edouard. He passes it to McGregor on the touchline. In field to Elyounoussi. Now it's with Scott Brown, and Celtic have passed their way out of danger.
Yeah, it was good play from McGregor. Initially get himself into a good defensive position in the box, and then has got the ability then to take charge of the situation and just almost play his way out and keep total control of the ball. Really good.
Livingston possession inside the centre circle with Guthrie. Rolls it to the right of it for Sibbald. He runs into trouble in the shape of 3 Celtic players, and McGregor emerges with it. Now Brown to Ayer, and he goes back to his goalkeeper. We've played 41 with Celtic, 2-0 up.
Yeah, and there's a bit of a lack of energy, I think, from Livingston today. I see he has changed. He's put Craig Sibbald over on that right-hand side where Greg Taylor has been just bombing on down the left-hand side with almost the freedom of the pitch. So he's put Sibbald over there to see can he quell that and stop him getting forward, because it's been a real thorn in their side, and that's where the goals have come from.
And David Martindale's not happy down there. He wants a bit more fire from his team, if nothing else. Brown taking on Pittman. Pittman slides in, does well. And it's with Guthrie. Poor ball though, straight to McGregor on the halfway line. He was trying to get it into the path of Marvin Bartley, as Turnbull picks it up on this near side. He got Celtic second after Forrest got the opener. And it's Callum McGregor with a long ball for Elyounoussi. Little cushion header to Edouard at the edge of the box. Shows too much of it to Devlin, and Livingston able to clear their lines.
That was a superb ball he gave from Callum McGregor with that left foot, and that run from Elyounoussi from out to in, and it just he nearly played it to.
Here he goes, Callum McGregor. Edouard looking to get it back to McGregor. Good, well read there by Fitzwater. Good clearance out for a Celtic throw-in on this near side. Callum McGregor coming to life there as Kenny prepares to take a throw-in for Celtic, level with the Livingston penalty spot on this near side. Short there to James Forrest, back to Turnbull. And a right foot low ball comes back to the edge of the centre circle there for Ayer, and he squares it to Welsh. Every player bar Scott Bain is in the Livingston half, with Celtic leading 2-0.
Yeah, and I'm sure David Martindale is desperate to get his team in, just to remind them of some of the things that they're good at. Closing people down, working hard as a team, that's missing for most of this half.
Rangers Hibs to come tomorrow. And there's championship action on the television to come next week, midweek as well. And Scottish Cup 4th round, which will kick off here on Sportsound on Friday evening with Dundee United's trip just up the road into Angus to Station Park to face Forfar Athletic. And then Stranraer Hibernian is the lunchtime kick-off next Saturday, with Rangers Celtic to come 4 o'clock on Saturday, and it will all finish with Aberdeen Livingston on the Sunday, with all the other matches to come 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. So there's loads to look forward to in the coming week, and indeed the weeks after that, the quarter-finals taking place the following weekend. And fair play to the SFA for getting that competition finished this campaign. For a long time it didn't look likely. Final minute of the first half here, with Celtic leading Livingston by 2-0, and it's James Forrest outside of the boot, finds Edouard to Forrest. He was trying to find Kenny, but he's put it straight onto Alan Forrest, but he can't do anything, although the whistle's gone, and Livingston will have a free kick for a foul on Pittman in the middle of the pitch there. Celtic 2, Livy 0.
Yeah, it's been, apart from that first opening, probably 5-6 minutes, it's been all Celtic, and they've been able to, and they've got their goals and be able to dominate the game, but they're playing well, they're knocking the ball around well. Cal McGregor dictating play in the middle of the pitch. They've got those quality players when the pressure's not on them.
Long ball for Livy. Now Alan Forrest found himself inside the Celtic box, checks back, he's on the right foot, he's going onto the left, drives it across the face of goal, but Bain does well to save with his feet, and it goes out of play. Pittman had got himself into a good position, ended up inside Scott Bain's goal mouth, but it goes out for a throw into Livy on the near side. We've played the 45 minutes, and the fourth official, Callum Scott, appears to have added on a minute at the end. In fact, 2 minutes have been added on. There's been a couple of stoppages for injury. Sibbald and Pittman early in the first half, as Nicky Devlin prepares to take a long throw in, about level with the edge of the Celtic 6-yard box on the left-hand side, main stand side, as they shoot towards the left. And Nick Walsh isn't happy with something going on inside the penalty area. He delays Devlin's long throw. Here it comes. And he's bowled it in towards the 6-yard line. It's half cleared. Then Guthrie blasts it anywhere, but he couldn't find Fitzwater. He was in the right angle of the 6-yard area. Celtic able to clear as Holt turns it all the way back to his goalkeeper. That was Pittman. Back to McCrory, midway inside his own half. The Livingston keeper right-footed out to this near side. One in the air by Kenny, and the flag's up on the far side for an offside, and it will be a Celtic free kick. Celtic leading by 2-0. We're in first half stoppage time here at Celtic Park.
Yeah, it shouldn't be offside. All the time in the world to look across the line and make sure that you stay on side. Too many mistakes from Livingston today. Far too many mistakes.
Long clearance by Bain onto halfway, where it's won by Nicky Devlin for Livy. Sibbald runs into trouble in the shape of Taylor inside the centre circle. He turns it to the left there for McGregor, and out to Odson Edouard. Flicks it with the outside of the boot for Turnbull, looking to return it to Edouard. Well read by Fitzwater, but it breaks back to Edouard, whose shot is blocked by McCrory and goes behind for a Celtic corner. A Celtic look to absolutely wrap this up before half-time.
Yeah, and there again, I think you're right about the mentality, because an opportunity there for Fitzwater to clear that ball, and he goes into the tackle and doesn't make it, and it falls for Odson Edouard, who, clear shot on goal, and it was a good save from the goalkeeper.
Celtic corner taken by Turnbull, and it's flicked away, and the half-time whistle goes at Celtic Park, with the home team in control. 2 goals in the space of 8 minutes in that opening 45. The opener from James Forrest on the half hour. David Turnbull adding a second on 38 from Elyounoussis' cross, and that means at half-time at Celtic Park, it's Celtic 2, Livingston 0.
Motherwell 0, St Mirren 0. St Mirren will have to make a change. Ryan Flynn's walked off. He's pulled his hamstring right on the half-time whistle, so there will be a change, but it's 0-0 at half-time.
Oh, he's had so many injury issues, hasn't he? Sean Crichton own goal just before half-time. Montrose 2, Airdronians 0 at Lynx Park, which has given them the advantage. Brechin City 1, Albion Rovers 2. 2 goals in a minute there. Paul Gallagher put Albion Rovers 2-0 up. Rory Curry immediately hit back to give some hope to the side adrift at the bottom. We will pick up during the second half on that discussion regarding the pyramid playoff, because I think really interesting to get the guys' thoughts on that. They're still playing at Palmerston, incidentally, where it is Queen of the South 0, Cali Thistle 0. Last I heard it was Ayr United 1, Dunfermline 1. Michael Miller cancelling out the opener from Declan McManus. That's now confirmed as a half-time scoreline, so still quite a few to come in. We will wrap everything up for you during or from the first half of the games around the country, right here on Sports Sound.
Listen live online at bbc.co.uk/sportscotland.
Sports Sound from BBC Radio Scotland.
Another half-time just coming in. Cove Rangers 0, Dumbarton 0. Confirmed at half-time. Liverpool getting an equaliser through Roberto Firmino in that game against Aston Villa. Still just looking out for a few of the later half-time. Stranraer 0, Elgin City 1. Edinburgh City 1. That's confirmed as a half-time. Liam Brown's early goal separating the sides in that one. And the last I saw, Stennismuir 0, Queen's Park 2. The goals from Simon Murray and Bob McHugh, giving the league leaders the advantage there. Falkirk 1, Clyde 0 confirmed at a half-time scoreline as well. Forfar Athletic 0, East 5-1 was a latest. Again, I'll just keep an eye on those as they're coming through. And Stennismuir 0, Queen's Park 2 confirmed as a half-time scoreline from Ochilview. Right, let's round up the first half action. We'll start with the game at Celtic Park, where Livingston are the visitors, Pat Bonner and Liam McLeod.
Celtic in control at the interval here in a game that has had a end of season feel about it. There's not terribly much riding on the match for both sides. Of course, next weekend will probably be much bigger in the eyes of not just Celtic but Livingston too, who go to Aberdeen in the Cup with Celtic at Ibrox 24 hours before. But it is Celtic who have dominated proceedings. 1 goal on 31 and 38. James Forrest again underlining how important his return to the side is as he squeezed it home past McCrory after a lovely ball by Edouard. Turnbull on 38 just managed to guide it home after El Yunusi's brilliant ball in from the left caught Robbie McCrory unawares. He was in no man's land, and Turnbull, all he needed to do was use his chest just to knock it into an empty net. And Paddy Bonner, that's been about it. No chances out with the 2 goals really to speak of. No goalkeeper's been worked terribly hard. And David Martindale's been left a little frustrated with the nature of the goals his team has conceded.
Yeah, and the nature of the goals, plus also the nature maybe of the display. After 6 minutes, I thought, yeah, Livingston is going to come what he did before when I watched him here earlier in the year and put Celtic under pressure high up the pitch. Now, but then he just almost went into a shell. And when Celtic got their goals, then the game was almost over, you could say, from that perspective. And he'd be really disappointed with that. And I'm sure at half-time he will remind them of why Livingston have got success this year by putting pressure on and working a little bit harder. He had problems out that sort of almost his right-hand side down Celtic's left, where Greg Taylor had so much room to operate and that, but Celtic well worthy of their 2-goal lead.
Celtic win their remaining 5 matches, they can get on to 84 points, which ironically would be a higher tally than the 82 that saw them win the league in 2018 under Brendan Rodgers. It's half-time at Celtic Park with the scoreline Celtic 2, Livy 0.
Right, Liam, thank you. Let's go to Julie Fleeting next up, the big one at the bottom of the table. What a start that was. Kilmarnock against Ross County. Julie.
Yeah, brilliant start. Very early action with Burke striking and scoring the first goal for Kilmarnock. It came from a corner which they managed to recycle back into the box. County didn't clear their line, and when it dropped to Burke, he took it on the volley and made no mistake. That was after 3 minutes. Not long, didn't take long for County though to get back into the game. And it was Gardine that hit the back of the net. The ball came to him in the right hand corner of the box. He took a brilliant touch in his chest, cut inside the defender, and with his left foot hit the net. Kilmarnock, there hasn't been an awful lot of goalmouth action, I have to say, just really the goals, and Pinnock managed to put Kelly ahead in the 16th minute. Again, County not covering themselves in glory in terms of their defensive clearance. And Pinnock was able to spin in the box, and although I think Laidlaw got a touch on it, unfortunately for him it went in. So County have been playing the better football in the game, but it's Kelly who have the upper hand, and there's a lot of talk about Kyle Lafferty pre-match, and John Hughes has certainly set his team out to try and nullify his threat because he hasn't seen an awful lot of the ball, despite Kilmarnock trying to go long early and then get support. But County will probably be the happier of the first half in terms of how they're played, and there's not an awful lot that they need to change. For me, Kilmarnock haven't been able to keep a hold of the ball. An awful lot at stake in this one, so I'm excited to see what the second half's going to bring. First half finished, Kilmarnock 2, Ross County 1.
And the other game with a bearing at the bottom is the one between Hamilton and Dundee United. The half-time story there from Derek Ferguson.
Yes, Richard Aki's up against it at the moment. It's Hamilton Aki's 0, Dundee United 1. United opened the scoring 6 minutes into the game. A poor clearance from Gourley in goals, fell to Fuchs. The midfielder playing in, Mark McNulty, he fired home from about 16 yards out from a central position. A confident United nearly got a second. 2 minutes later, McNulty Penalty with a curling shot from the edge of the box, just going wide of the target. Aki's worked her way back into the game with McMahon going close with a couple of long-range efforts. The home side had their tails up by this time, and Callahan really should have equalised in 35 minutes, poking the ball over the bar from just 4 yards out. O'Doffin then hit the side netting with a powerful header at the back post area. Moments later, Aki's pile on the pressure by this time went close again, with Monroe bringing out a fine save in Secret. But for all their efforts at the moment, Aki's trail United 1-0.
So Hamilton 0, Dundee United 1, Celtic 2, Livingston 0, Kilmarnock 2, Ross County 1. It's goalless at Fir Park, but there's been a few moments of interest and intrigue, Alan Preston.
Yeah, it's a very good game, Richard. League positional prize money at stake here, and both sides have had chances. McGinley in the second minute provided a cross. Cole on the end of it for Motherwell, just headed wide. Then it was all St Mirren from then on for me. McCarthy headed over from a corner. Then a lovely four-man move found McGrath. He had a beautiful touch to go away from Gallagher. He found himself one-on-one with Kelly, but Kelly saved the day for Motherwell. Durmus then had a free kick just wide. Campbell then a lovely pass to Long for Motherwell. He was 1v1 with Anik, but the keeper stood tall and managed to knock it away. Then it was a tale of two penalties, one given, one not. 30th minute, Durmus with a cross. It seemed to strike Crawford on the hand. The referee denies St Mirren a penalty, but 3 minutes later he awarded one. O'Donnell is one-on-one with Conley. Conley cuts inside and O'Donnell just clips him. Down he goes, and the referee pointed to the spot. Up stepped a very reliable Jamie McGrath, but this time Kelly chose to dive to his left. McGrath's right, and a brilliant save by the keeper, which gives us a half-time score at Fir Park. Motherwell 0, St Mirren 0.
Right, we'll get to Willie Miller shortly. Apparently one or two issues, not only with the game, but the line. So hopefully we'll hear what brief highlights Willie can bring us from Perth. Let's go to Brian McLaughlin, because it's a big afternoon for Wraith Rovers and Arbroath. They're meeting a head-to-head at Starks Park.
Yeah, it's Wraith Rovers 1, Arbroath 0. The only goal coming just before the half-hour mark. Dan Armstrong, the scorer. It was Kai Kennedy, wonderful play through the middle of the park. Played in Regan Henry. His shot was saved by Derek Gaston, but the ball fell straight at the feet of Armstrong, who had a simple task to score into the back of the net. And it was actually Arbroath who had the best chance early on. Ben Williamson with a shot that was deflected just wide. Wraithall then raced up the field. Tumulty with a cross. Dylan Tate looked certain to score, but he missed the ball completely, and the chance was gone. Wraith turned up the heat after scoring. Armstrong close to adding a second. Arbroath management team, Dick and Ian Campbell, much to ponder at the break here at Starks Park. Here it's Wraith Rovers 1, Arbroath 0.
Right, thanks to Brian. Right, let's get to Perth and hear just how excited Willie Miller has been for 45 minutes.
The most exciting things trying to get back online, Richard, that's happened to me this afternoon. It's not been a thrilling first half, that's for sure. The home side have been the better team, and they've created the odd opportunity. None better than Chris Kane. Free kick on the left-hand side. The ball was flighted in. You could see it was worked on the training field, and it worked perfectly until Kane got the opportunity some 8 yards out to put the ball into the back of the net. No composure whatsoever. Blasted it well over the bar when really that should have been the opening. Before that, they had a couple of shots in target. Middleton had one that was blocked, and Kane had another one where he tackled Joe Lewis as Aberdeen tried to play it out from the back. As far as Aberdeen's concerned, they really haven't had much to talk about. In fact, just a corner in the St Johnstone penalty box. Corner from the left-hand side. McGinn floated it in. Hoban got up well. He got a good header on it, but he couldn't direct it towards the goal and put it past the post. As I said, there's not been too much to cover in this first half. Certainly hoping for more, but it is hope, Richard, and probably prolonged. 0-0 at half-time.
St Johnstone against Aberdeen in the Championship. Well, we heard from Brian, it's 1-0 Wraith Rovers against Arbroath. Dundee also hoping for the win that would potentially deny Hearts the Championship this weekend. It's Dundee against Morton. In fact, we'll get to that in just a moment to do. Let's get to Sandra Brown. She's at Palmerston for Queen of the South against Cally Thistle.
Yeah, well, it's still goalless here at Palmerston, but it's been a decent first half. Both sides going from it. It started at lightning pace without either keeper being really tested. Scott Allen drove wide and then hit a free kick off target before Dapa Mabudi made a great run for Queens, but he took a touch too many and the chance was gone. But the best chance came midway through the first half when Mark Ridges had to dive to his right to turn Rhys Breen's glancing head around the post, and then Connor Shields also forced a save from Ridgers with a right foot effort before in the closing closing stages of this first half, Rowan Ferguson got down to save Scott Allardyce's free kick, and then had to save from Miles Story as well to keep it goalless at half-time. It's Queen of the South 0, Inverness 0.
At Somerset Park, Ayr United 1, Dunfermline 1. Declan McManus putting Dunfermline ahead. That was in the 12th minute. It's his 9th of the season. He's joint top scorer alongside Kevin O'Hara. But it was Michael Miller who pretty quickly levelled things up for the home side. Ayr, of course, dropping into the bottom half of the table and just a point clear of the relegation playoff place. They got back on level terms through Michael Miller when he pounced for his third goal of the season. Ayr without a win in their last 5 home league matches. The other game is at Dens Park. It's Dundee against Morton with Ailey Davies.
Yeah, at half-time it's Dundee 0, Morton 0. The home side starting the better of the two sides and just edging it really, but unable to find the breakthrough. An early half chance for the host Declan McDaid with a cross into the box, but Danny Mullen not able to get anything on it. Jason Cummings with a shot from the edge of the area, but that blocked by Marcus Fjortoff. Just 2 minutes later, the visitors beginning to come into this game a bit. Luca Colville with a shot from 18 yards, but that was blocked and the ball out for a corner. Just ahead of the half-time whistle, McDaid again with a really decent opportunity, cutting in from the left and trying a shot from the edge of the box. The ball heading for the bottom corner, but Morton keeper Adam McAdam getting down to make the save. Very little in it here at Dens Park today. Dundee looking for their 4th consecutive championship win, and Morton looking to bounce back from their heavy defeat to Inverness on Tuesday night. But as it stands, it's Dundee 0, Morton 0.
In League One, it's Cove Rangers 0, Dumbarton 0, Falkirk 1, Clyde 0. Ben Hall, 2nd of the season, came in the 9th minute. Forfar Athletic 0, East 5-1. That's a 6th of the campaign for Ryan Wallace. Montrose are 2-0 up against Airdrieonians. Airdrie with that win over Falkirk midweek, but it's Montrose who have taken the grip on that one at half-time. Cammy Ballantyne followed by a Sean Crichton own goal. And it's Peterhead 0, Partick Thistle 1. Joe Cardle's 5th of the season, 6 minutes before half-time. As things stand, that would be enough to see Partick Thistle back up into the playoff places. In League 2, it's Annan Athletic 0, Stirling Albion 1. Dylan Mackin for the side that started the day in 4th spot. It's Brecon City 1, Albion Rovers 2. Lewis Wilson and Paul Gallagher giving Rovers a 2-0 advantage. Brecon hitting back pretty quickly after the second one through Rory Curry to give themselves hope for the second half. Cowdenbeath are 1-0 up against Elgin City. Chris Renton with the only goal in 19 minutes. It's Stenhousemuir 0, Queen's Park 2. Simon Murray and Bob McHugh with first half goals. And it's Stranraer 0, Edinburgh City 1. Liam Brown with the only goal. That came as early as the 6th minute. One game in the English Premier League. Actually, the Roberto Firmino equaliser was ruled out by VAR. So half-time was Liverpool 0, Aston Villa 1. Ollie Watkins, 14th goal of the season. Earlier, it finished Manchester City 1, Leeds United 2. Right, a choice of listening coming up for you here on Sports Sounds.
Sports Sound on BBC Radio Scotland.
If you want full live second half commentary, Celtic against Livingston, you'll get that on digital, 810 medium wave and online. Open All Mics is on BBC Sounds FM and online at bbc.co.uk/sportscotland.
Sports Sound on BBC Radio Scotland.
Welcome back to Celtic Park for listeners on digital and on 810 medium wave with BBC Radio Scotland. We're online at bbc.co.uk/sportscotland. The second half about 30 seconds underway. Celtic going right to left in the green and white hoop shirts, white shorts, white socks against Livingston in their change all black colours with gold flashes. As that comes back to Ayr, no changes for either team at the
There's
two, Liam,
There's been 2 changes for Livingston. Right on half time.
Josh Mullen.
Josh Mullen and the striker up front. You can pronounce his name. 15. We'll come back on
that. It's Poplatnik who's come on, as Edouard tries to move it for a goal, but it's a comfortable take for McCrory. I was waiting for Celtic to take centre there at the start of the second half pack. He didn't even see the substitutes coming on, so fair play to you there. J. Emmanuel Thomas is certainly
he's off. And Craig Sibbald is the other one.
Sibbald, who took that knock early on. So no changes for Celtic, 2 for Livy, and it's a long ball which is headed away by Ayr and then nodded back into the Celtic half there. Guthrie as it comes off the back of James Forrest, but it breaks to Kenny in the centre circle. Long ball looking for Edouard. Fitzwater with a header onto the chest of Bartley. Then Fitzwater can clear, comes all the way through to Bain, who's in goal for Celtic. Kenny, Welshire and Taylor, Brown and McGregor, James Forrest, Turnbull and El Yunusi, and Edouard, Livingston, McCrory in goal, Devlin, Fitzwater, Guthrie and Longridge, Bartley and Holt. And now with Mullen on with Pittman, Alan Forrest, and up front now Poplatnik, as that breaks to Fitzwater, who turns it out to Devlin on the right hand side, midway inside his own half. Down the line for Mullen, good challenge there by Taylor, and out it goes for a throw in on this near side. Timely for Celtic to have Greg Taylor back, because I know that he was struggling to win over some Celtic fans early in the season, but I think he's been a terrific option for them.
I think he's a great option, and I think he gets into really good positions high up the pitch. Of course, he was given a kind of the run of the left-hand side in that first half, because they started off Livingston with Jason Holt, the one who had to come out and confront him, and I don't think Jason Holt's that type of player. He likes to play in the centre of the pitch. They changed it with Craig Sibbald, who had that knock, so he had a lot of opportunity to get himself into good forward positions, Greg Taylor, but I think there's an end product from him.
Yeah, he'd sit on the sidelines when Diego Laxalt arrived at the club, but Taylor just as good an option, if not better, than Laxalt on the Celtic side, you feel. So that comes to Kenny on the right, chip ball's lovely, and this is a chance for El Yunusi. His effort, first time saved by McCrory, and Livingston able to get it away as Celtic look for a third just 3 minutes into the second half. They came close to getting it. Kenny crosses into the box. It's going to sail all the way through here to Devlin, who'll be able to clear for Livingston up the pitch, up towards halfway. Matai Latnik is underneath it now, and being pushed back towards his own goal there as he moves it infield to Holt, midway inside his own half. Jason Holt, who scored a penalty here in the 3-2 Livingston defeat back in September. Celtic with a 2-0 lead.
Yeah, that was a really good chance to make it 3-0 there for Celtic. Again, a ball just popped over the top for El Yunusi, who made that penetrating run in behind, and he got in, good touch, and eventually bringing out the save from Robbie McCrory. Celtic could have easily finished the game off in that instant.
It is with McGregor rolling it out to Taylor on the near side. Infield from Taylor to El Yunusi, just outside the centre circle, rolls it to the right of it for Brown. Now with James Forrest, flicks with the outside of the right, back to El Yunusi. Here goes James Forrest again, showed a little bit too much, but it breaks back to El Yunusi, who produces a terrific save from McCrory, who puts it behind for the corner. He was aiming for that top right corner, was the Norwegian from just outside the D, and he's got his hands in his hips wondering how McCrory's managed to prevent him making it 3-0 Celtic. It stays at 2.
I'll tell you what, it was a great save. It was a brilliant save, because he caught it absolutely beautifully, can almost dipping it over the goalkeeper. He got real action on the ball, and McCrory getting up into that left hand corner and making the save to give away the corner to Celtic. But really good play again from Celtic. That's a couple of chances now early on.
Outswinging corner from Turnbull, headed for goal, and in from Brown it was. Inside the 6-yard box, the Celtic skipper, who's on his way out of the club, dives to head home the corner, and it is Celtic 3, Livingston 0. Scott Brown with what may end up being his final Celtic goal. Who knows?
Who knows? But listen, a ball played in from a corner, and he almost dived into the ball in a round about level with the near post. That should never happen from a defensive unit. And you know how good Livingston have been in that defence. Big guys, they should be able to deal with that. I think it was Poplatnik, the substitution, who came on, the striker, given the responsibility to pick up and mark Scott Brown, and he couldn't deal with him, and he gets his header on it, and once he gets his head on it, it was an easy opportunity for him to score, but getting into the right position, but he should never have been allowed in that position in the first place. Celtic cruising.
It's the second goal of the season. His other one came in a 4-0 cruise at Rugby Park at the start of February. He doesn't score many. He was a much more prolific goal scorer in his younger days. As Celtic look to open Livingston again. James Forrest cross, Fitzwater's underneath it and behind for another Celtic corner. So already, within a minute of conceding from a corner, Livingston are being faced with the same situation, and they've taken it quickly. Turnbull back to James Forrest, shoots, and it's wide of that right-hand post. And it will stay at 3-0. David Martindale turns and shakes his head and makes his way back towards his seat inside the Livingston dugout down below us.
They've got to be very careful here, Livingston. Now, they could end up here getting a real hammer, and this could go up to 5-6 goals. The way they're playing, they're not getting their tackles, there's no energy about them, they're not putting Celtic under pressure, and every time Celtic comes forward now, they're almost creating a chance at will, really, and it's just about the finishing.
Well, they needed to win all 5 of their matches post-split, Livingston, to beat their previous best top-flight points tally of 58 when they finished third ahead of Aberdeen in 2002.
But it's so unlike a performance that I've witnessed from Livingston, not really doing their manager or getting about their business properly in this fixture.
Once Celtic upped it, that was it, wasn't it? It took them half an hour to really get going, because both teams were snoozing for that opening 30 minutes. But Celtic have come to life. Livingston, though, I don't want to say it looks like they're on their summer holidays, because there's still a Scottish Cup competition to play for, and that becomes huge for them. But they've still got the possibility of finishing 4th in the division, which would be outstanding for Livy. A League Cup final, 4th in the division, and they could still progress in the Scottish Cup as well. And they'll fancy their chances, because they beat Aberdeen 2-0 and comfortably beat Aberdeen 2-0 at the start of February. I mentioned Scott Brown's goal against Kilmarnock. That was that night. So there's still loads to play for Livy, though you wouldn't think it today.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you can't just switch on and off the tap, that's for sure. As I said, the danger here is that they could, they lose a lot of goals in this game, and then the confidence is down for that game next week.
Kenny just outside the box, leaves it for El Yunusi, shoots and scores a fabulous goal. That's brilliant from Mohamed El Yunusi, who's threatened to do that a couple of times this afternoon, and he has just hammered that with the right foot. We watched it all the way, right behind it. There was no way Robbie McCrory was getting to it, and it's Celtic 4, Livingston 0, and it's going horribly wrong for the Lions.
Yeah, it was a great finish. Came to him on the edge of the box, nothing else in his mind but hit it first time with that foot. Obviously a tackle comes in too, but he can almost place through the tackle to get a strike away, and round the goalkeeper's left hand side, and the goalkeeper no chance. Great finish from a player who's I think has contributed really, really well at times, even in a difficult season.
Equaliser for the second time this afternoon for Ross County. Alex Iacovitti has made it Kilmarnock 2, Ross County 2, and that huge relegation battle in Ayrshire. Still 1-0 Dundee United at Hamilton, and Aberdeen have gone in front against St Johnstone through Johnny Hayes, as Mullen crosses with the right foot into the Celtic box, breaks to Poplatnik, and then back out to Alan Forrest. His effort is blocked, and it pops out to David Turnbull, who's got his head down, rolling it forward, cut out by Fitzwater, and it breaks now to Josh Mullen, who's moving towards the Celtic box in a central area. He's got options left and right. He's now driving into the box, rolling it back here for Pittman. Good first take, and then Poplatnik with the effort, saved by Bain. Livingston's best bit of football in the match. It doesn't yield a goal though, and it will stay 4-0 to Celtic.
Sure scored, great chance, brilliant chance for them. They've responded quite well now after losing that 4th goal. A couple of chances for them, but it was you could put it down to a really good save, but I thought maybe a little dink over the goalkeeper. He's gone for power. Goalkeeper was right out on him, and got the big save in.
Here comes Celtic with Edouard, rolling it to the right-hand side for Forrest now with Turnbull. He's held off the defender. Edouard shoots. McCrory with another superb save to put it behind for the corner. It's shooting fish in a barrel right now for John Kennedy's Celtic as they continue to pile forward, looking to score more goals. 55.5 on the clock. They're 4-0 up. It would have been 5 had it not been for Robbie McCrory producing his best.
Yeah, it could have been 6 only for it, and 2 unbelievable. That was a brilliant save again, I've got to say. Real outstretched left hand to get a touch on the ball, to put it around the post when it was a really, really good save.
Edouard thought he'd scored. Celtic corner to be taken on the Celtic right as they shoot towards the left. Ayer leaves it at the back post with Edouard, blocked by the defender, and behind for another corner of Nicky Devlin.
Again, another big chance. The ball getting its way all to the back, almost through a group of defenders to the back post, and Edward, and it was just only for the deflection of Nicky Devlin, and it goes over the crossbar. But again, another chance. That's about, obviously they've scored a couple,
3 or 4 other good chances.
Yeah.
In comes Turnbull's corner, And a little header breaks to Brown, who shoots, and McCrory saves once again. 3 outstanding saves. That one was more point blank from Scott Brown, who after just 1 goal this season coming into this one, he almost did 2 in the space of about 5 or 6 minutes.
Point blank, the ball comes to him and he hits it on the volley from about 7 yards out, and yes, you could say it was fairly straight at the goalkeeper, but the distance made him have to get his hands up quickly to make the save, and that's 3 unbelievable saves from the goalkeeper. And 4-0 down Livingston, and suddenly the chances are coming at will for Celtic, and it could have been almost 6-7 goals at this point. James Forrest down injured.
Yeah, that's a concern, isn't it?
It is
for Celtic. Mohamed El Yunusi's come over to make sure his teammate's okay. He's got the physio on there as well, and there's a few teammates coming over to have a look at James Forrest, who spent 5 months out of the team with injury, and with that
he's off, and it's I don't know whether that's a recurring injury of some description, but I didn't see any tackle or anything. He's almost.
When you see the reaction of his teammates, it's obviously a concern that this is a recurrence.
Yeah, he just walked up to the halfway line and then sat down on the ground, and off he comes, and that is a major blow to the young man, and a major blow to Celtic also. If that is the case, we don't know what the injury is, but he's off walking up the tunnel with the physio.
Up the tunnel, yeah. He's going to be replaced by Ryan Christie, but that is a possibly devastating blow for James Forrest and for Celtic. Scored twice in a couple of games after finally making his first start since September against Falkirk in the Cup last week.
But he's made an impact also. He's got his goals, and you can just see how the team reacts. He's a creator in the final third, not just getting his goals, but also sets other people up. And he's been such a huge loss, and that would be devastating for him. And especially the way he was getting back into it, with the big game coming up next week, and then of course the Euros for him to really push for. So let's hope it's not too serious.
We'll get John Kennedy's reaction after the match. Stevie Welsh is down meantime inside the centre circle, being helped to his feet by his captain. It could be another problem for Celtic, and they've certainly stuck with the Welsh Ayer combination as the centre back 2. He looks like he's going to be okay. He came from nowhere to play that game against Rangers back in October.
Yeah, but he's done well for a young man coming in. I don't. Just that little bit of lack of height is the only thing that the modern game that maybe he might need a couple of more inches. But certainly he's done exceptionally well. Good enough on the ball, got enough pace about him to play the position, and reads the game very, very well defensively.
Yeah, and he came into that team for the Rangers game, dropped out, and he was out for a while. Shane Duffy, of course, arrived at the club, and the injury to Julian has certainly aided Stevie Welsh, but he's clutching just the small of his back, I think, a little bit there as Callum McGregor goes long with the left foot looking for Christie. A little header back to the goalkeeper there by Longridge, and it's back with Robbie McCrory as we approach the hour mark. Celtic leading Livingston by 4 goals to 0 here on Sports Sound. Elsewhere in the Premiership this afternoon, St Johnstone 0, Aberdeen 1, the other game in the top 6. In the bottom half of the table, Hamilton Academical 0, Dundee United 1. That early goal from Mark McNulty separating the two in South Lanarkshire. In East Ayrshire, Kilmarnock 2, Ross County 2 remains the scoreline. Iacoviti scoring County's second leveller of the day 9 minutes into the second half. And it's kind of all about getting wins, but County and Kilmarnock knew the importance today of not losing that game, and with Hamilton getting beat by Dundee United at home, it might just give them that little bit of wriggle room at the bottom half of the table. Sports Scene tonight with the highlights of all today's games, 7:30 on the BBC Scotland television channel. Post-match reaction to come here on Sports Sound. Here comes Holt for Livingston, who trails Celtic 4-0. Poor ball that by Holt, though it really was. He put Blatnick to his left. He overhit it by a fair amount, and it goes behind for a goal kick, and it will stay Celtic 4, Livingston 0 on 61.
Yeah, he nicked the ball off Callum McGregor and broke forward, and it's just a simple pass, and he just absolutely overhit it. They've been guilty of that all day today, getting the ball, winning the ball back, and then just their ball either from back to front or in good positions. They just have been really off it, I think, Livingston.
Yeah, totally. This has been very unlike them, even since they came back into the top flight. They always had their problems away from home. This season they've overturned that. They've won as many points away as they have at home. As Celtic come down that right hand side, it's a low ball in for Edouard. McCrory snuffs it out though at the feet of the Frenchman, well read by the goalkeeper. It's been a difficult afternoon for Livingston. Robbie McCrory has been their best player, which perhaps says it all. 3 outstanding saves in the second half, 62 played. Celtic lead 4-0.
Yeah, and read that situation really well, because again Odsonne Edwards standing almost in the middle of the box on his own. Defenders not aware of where he was, and McCrory had to come out and read the situation, intercept that ball.
Throw in to Celtic to be taken by Taylor. It's unusual to be in April and still, as the league season draws to an end, for there still to be so much left to play for clubs, as there is with that Scottish Cup tantalisingly still to be played for, and there's still 16 teams in that competition. That gets underway on Friday at Station Park as Forfar welcome Dundee United, and that's going to be very, very interesting next weekend, with 16 teams battling it out for a place in the quarter-finals, which will be played the subsequent weekend, 2 weeks time. The semis and final to come in the space of a fortnight next month as well. But there are many dreams still to be had, and it will be important now. And we're talking about a nothing performance by Livingston today. They don't want to come to a place like this, get a hammering, having not played anywhere near. That can kind of manifest itself with that huge game at Pittodrie to come a week tomorrow.
Oh, definitely. And, listen, only for their goalkeeper, they could have been at least 6 goals down in this game at this moment in time, and that would be a huge psychological blow to them going into that game next week, because the one thing about Livingston, they're hard to beat, they're difficult, they make it difficult for the opposition normally, and that's been absolutely missing today, probably just from the first 6 minutes of the game when they did go and try to press Celtic and they won a few set pieces high up. But I can't remember much more than that. They had a chance just after the 4th goal here, they couldn't take it, but their whole game has been off today, and that's what they need to be good at, getting in about the opposition, and then the rest will come with it.
Yeah, to really fight for it against Raith Rovers last week, coming through after extra time against the Championship side to get through to round 4. Double change coming up for Livy. We'll get to that in a moment, because it's the Lions in possession. They trail Celtic by 4-0 though. And that ball there from Longridge is cut out, and Celtic win it back with Ryan Christie on the right from McGregor. Back into McGregor, scoops it forward looking for Turnbull, too much on it, and it's cleared by Fitzwater. And then Brown picks it up for Celtic, right to left of the circle for Taylor, and then he rolls it out to Elyounoussi on the left-hand touchline. Almost 65 played, with Celtic leading by 4-0. Elyounoussi, good play, gets the cross in, comes off Fitzwater. You're doing well to beat Fitzwater in the air, as Livingston clear only as far as McGregor, who passes it out to the right there for Kenny. John Joe Kenny to McGregor, and back into his own half for Welsh. Up against Poplatnik, short ball to McGregor. Forward it comes to Christie. Steps away from Bartley and finds Turnbull and rolls it out to Taylor.
I was going to say, that's the other part of Stephen Welch's game that he's composed on the ball too. He can play on the halfway line, he can take the ball, he doesn't give it away, and he's only going to get better also as he gets older and gets more experience.
Back with Bain, who's had not very much to do today. Here is with Ayer across the halfway line, stepping away from Pittman. Great run from Christopher Ayer. It's opening up for him here. He slips it through for Elyounoussi, who chips it for goal and scores Celtic's 5th, and it's another superb goal. Great run by Ayer, and it's the two Norwegians who combine to get Celtic's 5th as they slice Livingston open yet again. It's Elyounoussi who scores again, and it's Celtic 5, Livingston 0.
Well, how do you let a centre half run all the way the length of the pitch and then pick out a final pass. And I was just going to say, is he going to shoot there? Is he going to be able to have an end product to that run that we normally see him doing? And that was so easy. And Elyounoussi almost on his own again in the middle of the box, when he able to pick him out right through the heart of Livingston's team. So easy. A great finish, I've got to say, chipping it over the top of the goalkeeper. But that's five goals. And Livingston making the substitutions.
Yeah, look, Packy, I'll get through the subs here because both are making two. Alan Forrest come off to be replaced by the former Celtic defender Efe Ambrose. It looks like Marvin Bartley is going to come off to be replaced by Jibril Diani, who is on loan from Grasshoppers in Zurich. And it's a Swiss who's coming on for Celtic here in Albion Ayeti, who's going to come on as well as Tom Rogic. Turnbull coming off, and Celtic have brought Edouard off by the looks of things as well. Indeed, there he goes up the tunnel. So those are the substitutions that have been made, and Celtic have a 5-goal lead now against Livingston after, well, as I said, cutting them open once again. Forrest, Turnbull, the third went down as a Fitzwater own goal, incidentally. Scott Brown was initially credited with it, with a header. It's gone down as an own goal by Fitzwater. Elyounoussi has scored goals 4 and 5, and Celtic, well, this has been by far their best league result of 2021. In fact, last week's cup game against Falkirk was the first time they'd scored as many as 3 goals at Celtic Park in a game since the turn of the year, which kind of again underlines the troubles that they have had. But 5 this afternoon, and this is shaping up to be really good build-up for next week's Old Firm game at Ibrox. So 22 minutes still to play here. Yeah, it is a good build-up. It's a real confidence booster for them, and but it's been so easy, I've got to say, for them in the second half. They've created a lot of chances. Goalkeepers have big saves, scored goals, but so easy. I can't believe this performance from Livingston. Shocked actually, because I said it earlier in the season, the honesty, the endeavour that they had, it was really encouraging to see. Oh, they were almost in trouble again. Ambrose with a header away after the chip ball forward was aimed for Christie. As Longridge clears it down that left-hand side, it will go out for a Celtic throw-in. David Martindale cutting a forlorn figure down below us. He just wants this over now. You can try and get it out of their systems ahead of Aberdeen in the Cup. Aberdeen have found their scoring touch again, relatively speaking. They lead St Johnstone 1-0 at McDermott Park, the League Cup winners. And it's Aberdeen through Johnny Hayes who have the lead. It's their second league goal in 11 league outings, as Mullen is tripped down on this near side by Christie, and it will be a free kick to Livingston. But it is all about next Saturday. I mean, Celtic's entire season is now on next Saturday at Ibrox, across the city from here. Yes, it is. And but listen, they've gone to Ibrox in January and played extremely well, only for McGregor's saves probably. So they'll be thinking about that also. Mullen takes the free kick. Bain commits himself, decides to beat it away with his fist. Could have caught it perhaps. Maybe the sun was causing a problem, just to be given the benefit of the doubt. So that goes out for a throw-in on the far side to Livy, about midway inside the Celtic half, north stand side. And Efe Ambrose, who served this club pretty well in a very successful period during Neil Lennon's first spell as manager in particular. Yeah, Livingston have gone to 3 at the back now, with Ambrose coming into that position alongside Guthrie and Fitzwater, and just to try to stem the flow really in the heart of their defence, because it's been almost missing today. No tackles, couldn't stop Celtic in any of the goals really, and it was so easy. It was that back 3 that they had when they came into the Premiership. First season in the Premiership was a terrific back triumvirate of Lithgow, Gallagher and Halkett, as that long ball comes all the way through to McCrory, who holds on to at the edge of his box. Celtic 5, Livingston 0, approaching 71 minutes at Celtic Park in the sunshine now. Certainly hasn't got the chill factor it had at kick-off time, as McCrory boots it forward. It comes off the head of Devlin, straight though to Brown, then McGregor to Welsh, and now it's Rogic to Brown. His little ball was aimed for McGregor, but Mullen came from nowhere to win it back for the visitors. Now it's with Poplatnik on this near side. The Slovakian just moving infield away from Brown. Moving towards the edge of the box, down he goes. Claims he was fouled by the Celtic captain. He turns and has a little laugh at the Livingston striker. No free kick was given by Nick Walsh. And it's picked up by Kenny. And then he finds Christie, back to Brown. And now with Christopher Ayer, side football forward to McGregor in the centre circle. Rolls it to Christie, left-footed along the deck. Out to the right-hand side. Here goes Rogic. Little reverse ball, disguised into the box, back out wide right for Kenny. Chip ball comes in. Comfortable take that time for Robbie McCrory on 72 minutes. He's done all he can do, to be fair to the Livingston goalkeeper. 5 goals have flown by him today, and that's going to sting.
Yeah, and you know, he has produced. I think the save from Odsonne Edouard was a magnificent save.
That was the pick of the bunch, wasn't it?
With his left hand, really, when it looked as if it was in the back of the net, and he just pulls out a brilliant stop. So you're right. It's really disappointing for him, because, you know, to come off a pitch, 5 goals at the moment from a team that's sort of been outplayed, but to make those saves that he has is really disappointing that he hasn't come out with a better result.
Motherwell 1-0 up, incidentally. Alan Campbell, well, he's just been booked, beg your pardon. Devante Cole got the goal in 62 minutes. Be quite something for Alan Campbell to score twice in 2 games. But anyway, Motherwell lead 1-0. Remember, Jamie McGrath missed a penalty with 10 minutes to play in the first half. That's a collector's item in itself. McGrath's been deadly from the spot this season. Motherwell, though, lead at Fir Park against St Mirren 1-0. Elsewhere, St Johnstone 0, Aberdeen 1. 5-0 Celtic here in the top 6, and the bottom 6 at Motherwell 1, St Mirren 0, and the 2 huge matches, Hamilton Academical 0, Dundee United 1. It remains with about 15 or 16 minutes left in that one. Kilmarnock against Ross County, they're just ahead of that one, 2-2. Twice Kilmarnock have had the lead, twice they've been pegged back by County. Burke and Gardine, then Pinnock and Iacoviti, and that is the scoreline at Rugby Park with about 15 to play there. Could be a big 15 minutes in those club seasons, and it will be. Devlin bowls it forward with the throw-in, fell by Poplatnik on Taylor, and it's going to be a free kick to Celtic over on this near side.
Yeah, just looking at Livingston, I think that shape that they have now, with the 3 at the back, the 2 wing backs, Devlin pushed up on one side and Longridge up the left, and then just a tighter in the middle of the pitch. I think that's probably suits them a little bit better. They look a little bit more compact.
Lee Griffiths is going to come on to partner Ayeti in the closing stages. It might well be El Yunusi, who was in from the start, who comes off. Indeed it is. We know hat-trick for El Yunusi, but he scored goals 17 and 18 of the season. He'll probably count the one he got against Aberdeen in the semi-final of the Scottish Cup, last season's competition as well, which means he's on 19 for the season, on loan from Southampton. And Scott Brown will also come off to be replaced by Ismaila Soro. So Soro and Griffiths on for Brown and El Yunusi. Packy.
Yeah, I think that's sensible from John Kennedy, just obviously with the game, big games coming up, but the big one next week, just to take off those key players. The big disappointment, of course, is the worry over James Forrest. Has that a reoccurring injury, or is it a new injury? And how will he recover from it? That's the only big disappointment from this game. The rest of it has been really good.
Christie on the far side, cutting in field, driving it into the box. A bit too much on it there for Ayeti as he slid in to try and get his boot onto it. He failed to do so. Ayeti, who has struggled by and large to impress in a Celtic shirt. He's got 6 goals this campaign. Of course, they were after Ivan Toney, who went to Brentford and has scored 28 this season in the English Championship, which perhaps hasn't helped Albion Ayeti's cause in the eyes of the supporters. I know Neil Lennon wanted Toney in last summer, and he was denied that.
Yeah, I think he would have been a real player for them. I would have made the fans a little bit happier, I think, from what they've witnessed so far from Ayeti or Klimala. Klimala seems to have gone completely. I don't know whether he's injured or that game from Aberdeen, which is a a number of weeks ago, and he came on and he had built him up into, it was an important player to have in that team that particular day against Aberdeen, but he hasn't even, don't think he's even made the bench since.
5-0 it is to Celtic here with about 14 to play. Taylor will take a throw in on this near side infield to Rogic, and he moves it back to Scott Bain. Just outside his box, rolls it short to Welsh. And then he goes back to his goalkeeper, who's been underworked today. Little short ball there to Sorrow, and he rolls it back out to Welsh over on that far side. Celtic put 5 past Hamilton on the opening day of the league season. That was a 5-1 win, so they're heading towards their biggest home league win of the season. They did win 5-0 at Ross County much earlier in the campaign as well. And things were ever so slightly rosier in the Garden, as McGregor at the right angle of the box, under pressure, goes down, brought down by Ambrose, and then a Sorrow foul there on Poplatnik draws a Livingston free kick midway inside their own half left of centre, with Celtic leading Livy by 5-0.
Yeah, they've moved the ball well, Celtic, today. They've played between the lines. They've played off the first, second touch very, very well. Obviously, delighted that they've got the goals as an end product, but they've moved it around the pitch really well from that perspective. I think Livingston allowed them to do that. They didn't really put them under enough pressure to stop them. But when you do that, Celtic got the players to hurt you.
The Livingston player has scored today. Jack Hamilton for Arbroath has pulled one back against Raith Rovers. It's 2-1 at Starks Park. Dundee are 0-0 with Morton. But Raith Rovers, if they see that one out or Dundee win, then Hearts will not be able to win the league today. We'll move on to the midweek fixtures. In the Premiership, Celtic 5, Livingston 0 here at Parkhead. St Johnstone 0, Aberdeen 1. Still Accies 0, Dundee United 1. Kilmarnock 2, Ross County 2. And Motherwell 1, St Mirren 0. And in the Championship, as I say, 2-1 Raith Rovers, Queen of the South 1, Cally Thistle 1. 0-0 Dundee Morton, Ayr 1, Dunfermline 1. Heading in towards the final 10 minutes. In all of the matches, with about 11.5 to play at Celtic Park in the sunshine in Glasgow's East End. And Celtic leading by 5-0. El Yunusi with a couple. As Sorrow plays it short to McGregor. Packy.
Yeah, Celtic just keeping the ball now, just passing it around and controlling the game. Obviously, they have stopped creating the chances that was so evident in that.
Big cross into the box, looking for Griffiths, but it's gone right back to Longridge, who heads it back to his goalkeeper.
Yeah, I was going to say, so many chances they created at the start of the second half. It was quite incredible how opened right through the middle of that defence that Livingston were, and that's kind of been stemmed now a little bit. But just a change of structure to their team, playing the 3 at the back, big boy. Diani coming on in the middle of the pitch and alongside Jason Holt, and just tighten things up a little bit.
Change here for Livingston. This is a really nice sight for them. They're going to bring off Fitzwater and bring on Alan Lithgow, who last played for the club on the 21st of December 2019 when they beat Ross County at Ammonvale. He's been out long-term injured since then. Of course, he's had all the lockdowns and everything else to deal with on top of that. Alan Lithgow, and I mentioned him earlier when he was part of that triumvirate that involved Declan Gallagher and Craig Halkett. He's back, and that's a good sight for David Martindale, and that's one positive he's able to take from this miserable afternoon at Celtic Park. Celtic lead 5-0. Livy take a free kick through Mullen, which is headed away inside the Celtic box as it breaks back to Scott Pittman just inside his own box and rolling it back to McCrory. But you'll be delighted to have Alan Lithgow back at his disposal.
Yeah, very experienced. Obviously had that unit as you talked about. Very, very good. So they'll be delighted to get him back, and whether he's going to take a while to get back into where he was before, but certainly just getting back on the pitch is a positive.
I know he's had a couple of setbacks as he's tried to get himself back fit and available. He was actually back training with the squad back in December. A couple of setbacks, but he's very much back in the equation. That's a long time out when a career as a footballer and you miss over a year. then that is a long time. It's a big percentage of your career that's just completely vanished because of injury. I appreciate Alan Lithgow is 32 now, so he's heading towards the end of his career, but that perhaps makes it even harder.
Yeah, but even he's on the pitch now 2 or 3 minutes, and I can already see him organising, talking, moving the midfielders around to get him secure in a defensive unit, and that's what you need, and that's what that experience comes from.
Cheap from Celtic at the back though. Here's Josh Mullen taking on Ayer. Into the box he goes, cuts it back, blocked there by Callum McGregor. It's going to go behind. Well, it would have been a Livingston corner, but there's a foul there by Devlin on McGregor, so that's a free kick to Celtic inside their own box, as good as a goal kick really. 82 almost on the clock. Celtic 5, Livingston 0.
Yeah, he got himself into a great position, Josh Mullen there, and I thought he could have drove on and really test Scott Bain in the silly goal. He just elected to try to play it across the 6-yard box, but there was no takers.
Taylor poking it forward, looking for Ayeti, who beats Ambrose to it, but he's back inside his own half, but midway inside it, over on this near side. Poor ball, straight to Pittman by Ayeti. Now it's Poplatnik, he shows too much of it to Ayer, gets the break of the ball, but Welsh covers across well for Celtic. Couple of little unforced errors. They're 5-0 up though, so I don't think John Kennedy will be too concerned.
Listen, you know, you've got a player come onto the pitch and he wants to almost prove and show to the manager that he can do a job, and then he gets himself into a position where he does really well initially, and then so slack in the final pass and gives it away in a crucial area, and those are little things. Even though they're 5-0 up, he should be concentrating absolutely 100% on his game.
Here's Christie. He's forced to move it back the way to Kenny, and he goes back to Scott Bain. 83 minutes played, Celtic 5, Livingston 0. And of course, if Celtic are going to win the Scottish Cup, they're going to have to go to Ibrox and do something a domestic side hasn't done since the start of March last year. That is beat Rangers inside their own stadium.
Yeah, and of course it goes to extra time and penalties, isn't it?
Yes.
So they have to get a victory there.
Yeah, both sides, whoever emerges, will clearly be favourites to lift the Scottish Cup. Celtic looking to do so for a 5th successive season. So that comes back to Bain.
They have an unbelievable record in the Scottish Cup, an unbelievable record, and that's up for grabs also, to keep that going, or for Rangers to kill it off and put it to history books.
Yeah, as Christie picks up right at the centre circle, back to Welsh, side foot ball to Sorrow, forward it comes to McGregor. Do you expect the team that started for Celtic today, if James Forrest's okay for it, to start next week, and if not, would you expect it to be Christie in for Forrest and that would be it?
Yeah, I think so. I think that if Forrest is fit, I think he might start. But that little injury now, or that whatever type of injury it is, will put a doubt in the manager's mind. But Christie he's a quality player, and he can come in and do the business.
Here's Rogic, rolls it in behind Kenny on the far side. That will go out for a Livingston throw-in over there. But
the rest of the players, I think, are, for me, they're automatic choices. I don't see any change in that formation. You wouldn't be bringing any of the strikers on to replace Odsonne Edouard. I think he just give him a rest. There's nothing wrong with him taking him off the pitch. And maybe Laxall might be the only other one that might come in instead.
Think he'll come in for Taylor?
He could do, either or, to be perfectly honest, and they give fairly similar qualities to that position. I think Taylor is the one that maybe has a wee bit more energy getting forward, and there's a better maybe end product at the moment from him, but we'll see what that's up to John. He's the man now in charge. He's the one that has to make the big decisions, but I don't think it'll be a crucial decision, that one.
Lithgow clearing, but it bounces off Rogic down that right hand side. Celtic are 5-0 up. It's a foul by Albin Ayeti over there. Griffiths looks up to the heavens because he was hoping Ayeti was going to win it and pass it into him, and he would have been up against his former teammate Ambrose to try and find a much needed goal for Lee Griffiths. The same can be said of Ayeti.
I think when I look at Livingston, I think this might be
oh dear, making a mess of that though. Yeah, cleared by McCrory. It's bounced off Lithgow, but Ambrose is onto it, heads it forward to Holton. It bounces off him for a throw into Celtic on this near side, as Arbroath have equalised. They've come from 2-0 down at Raith Rovers to get back to 2-2, and Morton have taken the lead against Dundee. So if those two scorelines stay the same, Hearts win the league today. As Mullen is tackled by Sorrow, breaks to Holt inside the centre circle, heading towards the closing stages. That's a huge goal scored by Ricky Little for the Lichties. Raith 2, Arbroath 2. It's now with Effie Ambrose for Livingston in the near side. This game was done a long time ago, arguably by half-time when Celtic were 2-0 up. They're 5-0 up though here at Celtic Park as they look to close it and focus on Ibrox next week, and it'll be around about half-time at Ibrox, a 4 o'clock kickoff next Saturday. You'll be able to hear it here on Sports Sound as Ambrose plays it straight there to Christie. He's inside the box now, looking for Celtic 6th and finding Celtic 6th. The assist though came from Effie Ambrose, but Celtic are heading for their biggest league win of the season, a week ahead of that huge Scottish Cup clash at Ibrox, and they're warming up in style. It was put in a plate, but Christie still had to finish, and he finished beautifully as he arches it into the bottom left corner of the net away from McCrory, and it is Celtic 6, Livingston 0.
Yeah, great finish, but it sums up Livingston's day. You cannot make a decision like that, a square pass across your defence. And it's such a long time to make up his mind. Just play it back to the goalkeeper and let the goalkeeper then play it high up the pitch, and then you're out of trouble. But he delays, and then he makes that unbelievable square pass that Christie picks up. And yeah, listen, he was good control and a really good finish. But again, what a nightmare of a day for Livingston. You've got to say Celtic been excellent and given them the opportunities and the chances. Today they've taken every single one, and they've made the goalkeeper work also, because it could have been 8 or 9.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. It could have been 3 very good saves from McCrory in the second half. Celtic have scored 6, and this will eclipse their 5-0 win in Dingwall. And home-wise, will eclipse their 5-1 win over Hamilton on the opening day of the campaign all the way back in August. Ryan Christie getting in on the act, and if James Forrest is injured and Christie does come back into the starting 11 at Ibrox next week, he'll feel a bit better about things as well, now that he's managed to come off the bench and score today.
Yeah, it was a good crisp finish, wasn't it? You know, he just obviously picked it up in a really good position just outside the box, then takes it onto his left foot and then bang right into the corner. Really good finish. I think over the piece, when you look back at some of the games they've played not that long ago, actually, they've made loads and loads of chances but had no end product, no finishing. Go back to Dundee United, even against last week against Falkirk, there was lots of opportunities they had and they should have finished them off. But today, that's been put to bed, because every single time they've had a chance, they've scored or they've hit the target, almost made the goalkeeper work.
Elsewhere, Aberdeen still 1-0 up in St Johnstone. Dundee United still 1 up at Hamilton. They are deep into stoppage time. Kilmarnock still 2-2 with Ross County. Motherwell 1, St Mirren 0. That's a massive scoreline then at New Douglas Park. Dundee United scoring early through Mark McNulty, leading Hamilton. And the rock bottom Accies, with Killie and Ross County looking as though they're going to both move a little point further away, although it would still leave Accies within striking distance of the two of them. Accies would be 3 behind Ross County, 2 behind Killie. Killie in the playoff spot. Here's Christie for Celtic on the near side, couple of minutes added on in injury time. Celtic 6-0 up. And this is the kind of scoreline they would have hoped to have achieved on a much more regular basis, particularly inside this stadium this season. Griffiths' first time ball out here for Taylor up against Ambrose. Ambrose this time goes back to his goalkeeper. He slices it up into the air. Will drop down round about the halfway line. Ayer beats Mullen in the jump, as you would expect. Christie under pressure from Holt, who goes down. Free kick to Livingston, just inside their own half. And Effie Ambrose is, over the years, he's obviously been capable of moments like that, moments of madness, just like that. He's actually, he can be a terrific defender. He's got the pace to bail himself out of problems, but that's just one of these brainstorm situations that he's had I remember the first high-profile one was in a Celtic shirt against Juventus here in the Champions League. Had it at Hibs now and again.
Yeah, absolutely. It's in his makeup, I'm afraid, and you know, just you've got to see danger and think danger all the time as a defender, and you know, but again, it was so basic an error. It was frightening actually for an experienced player.
Yeah, terrible. Guys played at World Cups. Anyway, Dundee have equalised against Morton late in the day there. They trailed through Aidan Nesbitt's goal, but Dundee would need to score again, or Raith Rovers score again against Arbroath to deny Hearts the title this afternoon. And Hearts will be returning to the top flight for next season. I think everyone expected that to be the case before a ball was even kicked.
Yeah, they have the squad, haven't they? Yeah. They have the squad, and I know they haven't played well at times, but listen, the objective has been met, and that's the critical thing for them.
Livingston have a free kick as they try and get some consolation. Right hand side of the Celtic box. Josh Mullen takes it. It's not the worst delivery either, but flicked away by Welsh. Good defending there from Welsh as Nick Walsh sounds the full-time whistle, and Celtic have their biggest league win of the season, and it comes in the first game post-split. They win 6-0. James Forrest giving them the lead on 30 before Turnbull made it 2 on 38. That was the half-time scoreline. It looked like Brown had made the scoreline 3-0, but it's gone down as a Fitzwater own goal on 50. El Yanusi in 54, and 66 made it 5-0. And then Ryan Christie, a gift from F.A. Ambrose, made it 6 with 3 to play. And it finishes here in the sunshine. Celtic 6, Livingston 0.
Equaliser for Airdrieonians. It's another own goal. There's been 3 own goals in that game. It's Aaron Lennox who scored the own goal there in the 90th minute. So
full time in Perth. Richard, then Aberdeen take all 3 points with a 1-0 victory over St Johnstone.
Now into the third minute here of extra time, injury time. It's a corner to Raith. That was a claim for a penalty, but no, it's going to be a free kick to Arbroath inside their own 6-yard box. And it now looks as if this game is going to end in stalemate. 2 apiece here, Richard.
And it's still Dundee 1, Morton 1 at Dens Park. These are the 2 scorelines that matter as far as Hearts are concerned.
Leanne.
Hello.
Help me. So it's all over, Richard. It's all over. Accies 0, Dundee United 1. It seemed as if that was a little penalty claim again, but Bobby